You stand beneath a sky ablaze with stars, the Nile's dark current whispering secrets to the reeds. The air hums with the scent of dust and sacred oils, and somewhere in the distance a hymn rises sharp and fervent, like a blade slicing through the night. Welcome to ancient Egypt, where the gods walk among mortals, and the line between divine and depraved is as thin as a papyrus sheet. You're not here for the pyramids alone, though their shadows loom jagged teeth against the horizon. No, you're here for something more primal, the rituals that made hearts race. Blood burn and minds drift to places the priests only whispered of. Imagine a festival where wine flows like the river itself, spiked with petals that promise euphoria, where bodies sway under torchlight and the gods themselves might lean in to watch. You're curious, aren't you? Good. Like this tale, share your own wildest night in the comments, and let's see who's brave enough to rival the ancients. Now picture yourself at a banquet, the air thick with heat and the musk of crowded bodies. Before you lies the blue lotus, its petals delicate as a lover's sigh, glowing faintly in the flicker of oil lamps. This isn't just a flower, it's a key to the divine, a sacred trick the Egyptians mastered, long before your world learned to chase its highs. You crush the dried petals between your fingers, their scent sharp and sweet, like honey laced with sin. Soaked in wine for days, they transform the drink into something forbidden, something that hums in your veins. You sip and the world softens edges, blurring as laughter grows louder, the torchlight warmer. It's not enough to unmake you, but it's enough to make the weight of the Nile Valley's endless toil feel like a distant dream. The priests call it communing with Ra, the sun god, his radiance blooming in your chest. You call it something else, escape, perhaps, or defiance. Either way, you're hooked and the night is young. You're weaving through a crowded festival now, the air alive with the clatter of tambourines and the pulse of bare feet on packed earth. The blue lotus is everywhere, painted on tomb walls, clutched in the hands of pharaohs carved in stone, their eyes half-lidded, as if they too feel its pull. You see it in the banquet hall, passed between guests like a whispered secret, each sniff a toast to eternity. The flower's power isn't just in its taste, it's in its promise. They say it carries you to the afterlife, a floral guide for the soul tucked into mummy's wrappings, like a lover's note. You imagine the dead, their spirits drifting through the duet, clutching lotus petals to keep the darkness at bay. Practical, you think, with a smirk stocking up for the eternal road trip. But here in the living world, the lotus is no mere symbol. The festival around you is unravelling, wine-soaked and reckless. You catch a glimpse of a woman, her kohl-rimmed eyes glinting, her fingers brushing a man's arm as she hands him a lotus-laced cup. Their laughter cuts through the chaos, sharp and intimate, a spark in the desert cold. The music grows wilder, drums pounding like a racing heart, and bodies move closer, swaying reckless, as if the gods themselves are watching with envy. You sip your own wine, the lotus's subtle fire spreading through you, making the stars above seem to pulse in time with the crowd. This isn't just a party, it's a rebellion against the grind of survival, a fleeting claim to divinity. You raise your cup, the night blurring into something profound, something that feels like forever. You stumble into the heart of the feast of drunkenness, where the air reeks of spilled beer and sweat-slicked skin, the ground muddy from 1,000 frantic feet. This isn't some tame holiday. It's a raw, visceral roar against oblivion, honouring Hathor, the goddess who nearly drowned the world in blood. You hear the myth whispered in the shadows sent by the gods to slaughter humanity for their sins. She rampaged like a storm, her claws tearing through flesh, rivers running red with the screams of the dying. But the gods in their twisted mercy tricked her with beer dyed like blood, and she drank until the world spun collapsing in a haze of forgotten fury. You taste the irony on your tongue salvation through stupor, a divine blackout that saved the species. Now you're part of the commemoration, the crowd pressing close, bodies hot and insistent, their breaths mingling in the torchlit dark. The goal isn't merriment, it's obliteration, a plunge into divine trance where the line between ecstasy and agony blurs. You grab a cup, the beer thick and crimson, its foam bubbling like fresh wounds. One gulp and fire spreads through you, loosening limbs, sharpening senses, until every touch feels like a spark. A woman beside you laughs, her eyes wild, her hand brushing yours with deliberate heat. Intrigue in her gaze, perhaps a secret alliance against the priests watching from the edges. But drink deeper, and the trance hits visions of Hathor herself, her form shifting from benevolent to beastly claws glinting as she dances through the throng. You collapse face first into the mud, the world a whirl of hiccups and hymns, your body a vessel for something greater, or just the chaos of excess. In this madness you find renewal, purging fears in a haze of blood-tinged brew, the goddess's wrath pacified once more. Dawn breaks over the ritual grounds, the first light piercing the haze like a spear, and you're thrust into the frenzy anew. Music erupts, tambourines crashing like thunderclaps echoing off temple walls, the ceremonial passing of drinks a dare wrapped in piety. Priests, their eyes gleaming with fanatic zeal, urge you on. Drink as your heart desires, they chant, but you sense the edge, the unspoken challenge to push beyond limits. You take the cup, its contents warm and potent, and join the dance bodies colliding in the streets, hips brushing hands lingering with forbidden intent. A man's gaze locks on yours, heated and predatory whispering of alliances forged in this chaos. Perhaps a plot against a rival betrayal simmering beneath the revelry. This isn't mere debauchery. It's theology in motion, balancing destruction and joy. Hathor's wrath, tamed by brew. You feel it in the crowd's pulse, the way laughter turns to gasps, visions blurring the line between goddess and illusion. Collapse comes swift, a boot to the ribs in the press, blood mixing with mud, yet no one stops. It's sanctioned, expected. Passing out isn't failure, it's elevation proof of devotion. You wake with a scar, a reminder of the night's savagery, but also cleansing. Suspicion falls on the sober. Why aren't you elevated, brother? Do you scorn the gods? Intrigue weaves through whispers of spies among the priests, using the trance to extract secrets. Yet in this gritty communion, you find empathy, the human stubbornness to love fiercely amid the brutality, surviving another dawn with wry defiance. You crouch in the dim light of a mud-brick brewery, the air thick with the yeasty tang of fermenting grain, your hands sticky from handling half-baked loaves of emmer bread. This isn't the golden ale, you know, no crisp bubbles or frothy head, but a viscous slurry opaque as the Nile's silt, more porridge than pint. You mash the loaves into water, the mixture squelching under your palms like wet clay, fermenting into something that clings to your teeth, chewable and unyielding. Forget refreshment. This is sustenance in disguise, a liquid bread that fuels peasants through blistering days, priests through endless chants, even children dipping tentative fingers. In a world where the river hides crocodiles and dysentery lurks in every sip, beer is your shield boiled, spiced, safer than water, denser with calories than a meagre meal. You gulp it down, the chunkiness catching in your throat, a gritty reminder of survival's raw edge. No one escapes it. From scribe to labourer, it's the great equalizer binding society in a shared haze of mild intoxication and stubborn endurance. You're deep in the festival throng now. The beer jug passed hand to hand, its contents laced with herbs that twist the familiar brew into something potent, unpredictable. Mandrake slips in like a thief, its rooty bite promising communion with the gods or oblivion if you overdo it. Fermented dates add a sickly sweetness. Honey masks the edge, while mystery spices whisper of distant trades, each sip a gamble between enlightenment and forgetting the priest's droning sermon. You feel the buzz build, limbs loosening as the alcohol creeps, not high octane but relentless in volume litres daily, for pyramid haulers, their sweat-soaked backs glistening under the sun, fueled by this gluten-laden haze. Workers paid in rations staggering home, buzzed and breaded the pyramids, rising on a foundation of intoxication. Strength varies mild for the fields, stronger for rituals where visions blur into violence. A tavern brawl erupting over a spilled jug, fists flying blood mixing with the brew. Yet in this you find cohesion, a thematic thread of survival through savagery. The beer-binding classes in shared defiance, a wry toast to outlasting the desert's cruel whims. You huddle in the sweltering heat of a brewery, the air heavy with the steam of soaking half-baked emmer loaves, your hands plunging into the lumpy mash that ferments in open vats under the relentless sun. This beer is no elegant pour, it's a rustic war crime against refinement, cloudy and distressingly chewable like oatmeal, with a grudge and a buzz. You slurp from a communal jug, 5 adults crowding around the pot of soggy breadwater, your lips brushing the ceramic in a ritual of unity that tastes of desperation and defiance. Everyone drinks at pharaohs in gilded halls, priests murmuring incantations, peasants hauling stones, even toddlers with wide eyes, because when the Nile's waters whisper death and milk curdles suspicion, this fermented sludge is your lifeline calorie. Dense, mildly intoxicating, the least deadly option in a land of sandstorms and serpents. At temples, the brew elevates enhanced with herbs, and dates honey dripping in like forbidden sweetness, or mandrake for those weary of reality's bite. You wonder if the additions are sacred or just experimental folly, a priest's sly intrigue to loosen tongues and forge alliances in the haze. Festivals turn it communal, the jug passed with winks and whispers, perhaps plotting against a rival overseer amid the slurred camaraderie. Yet in this gritty elixir you taste resilience, the human spark that loves amid the labour fights through the fog and survives with a dark chuckle starving shore. But at least the beer's thicker than your regrets. You step into the sealed chamber of a temple, the air already thickening with the slow burn of kai-fi, that divine concoction of myrrh and honey, wine-soaked raisins, mingling with cinnamon's sharp bite juniper's resinous tang and mint's fleeting coolness. This isn't mere air freshener. It's a fermented pellet of sacred excess mixed under moonlit phases like an alchemist's ritual, dried and ignited to fill the limestone cube with fragrant smoke that clings to your skin, your robes, your very breath. No ventilation here that would shatter the mood, so you inhale deeply, the haze curling around you like a lover's embrace or perhaps a predator's coil, visions inevitable as the priest waves the dish. His sweat-glistened face a mask of fervour. The chant drones in Coptic monotone, a hypnotic rhythm that pulls you under, whether divine revelation or subtle asphyxiation, blurring into one. Keefe heals as it haunts curing snake bites with its narcotic edge, luring sleep like a siren's call, complex recipes, reading like forbidden scrolls, 16 ingredients in precise order, a miracle of persistence amid the Nile's chaos. You feel it now, the aroma drifting like a sacred fog, signalling holiness, or masking the fish market's rot. In death it lingers burned during mummification, buried in tombs, perhaps embalming a pharaoh, an accidental spice. Intrigue whispers through the smoke priests, using it to extract confessions, alliances forged in the haze betrayals veiled by its sweetness. Yet, amid the visceral toll you sense empowerment, marginalised voices rising in the fog, resilience threaded through the sensuality, a wry nod to breathing deeply when you can't drink the divine away. You linger in the temple's haze, Keefe's smoke coiling around you like a serpent's embrace, its warmth seeping into your pores, blurring the edges of reality until the stone walls pulse with hidden life. This isn't just perfume, it's a spiritual elevator lifting you toward the gods, or plunging you into a velvet void where visions flicker. Ra's golden form dissolving into shadows, or perhaps a lover's face forbidden and flushed emerging from the fog. Pliny the Elder scribbles of its cures, snake bites stanched by its narcotic bite. Sleep summoned like a reluctant paramour, the smoke wrapping your limbs in languid surrender. Recipes unfold like ancient intrigues, 16 ingredients layered in phases under specific moons, each addition a whispered plot, myrrh for depth, honey for sweetness that masks the sting, all fermenting into pellets that burn slow, releasing aromas that drift across the Nile like a sacred summons or a veil over yesterday's betrayals in the marketplace. In rituals, Kai-Fi purifies as it intoxicates, erasing sins in fragrant waves, or at least dulling memories of the feast's excesses, your body still aching from the night's savage embraces, a bruise blooming where a reveller's grip turned violent in the trance. You see it in mummification, the incense burned to embalm its spice, rubbing into flesh like a final sensual anointing, perhaps accidentally preserving a pharaoh in eternal aroma. Intrigue simmers here too, priest wielding the smoke to forge alliances, a shared inhalation, binding secrets or a rival overcome by its subtle poison, collapsing in what looks like divine ecstasy. Yet through the visceral pull you glimpse empowerment women in the shadows, using Kai-Fi's allure to claim agency, their whispers carrying plots of defiance. In this evocative cloud, resilience threads through humans loving fiercely amid the haze, surviving with a dark wit. If you can't drink it, burn it and breathe deep lest the gods forget you. You venture into the shadowed groves where mandrake grows its forked roots, twisting like tiny screaming humans beneath the earth, a botanical dare that sends chills down your spine even as curiosity draws you closer. This isn't a gentle herb. It's the unhinged guest at the ritual revered by priests, yet handled with the caution of a caged beast, its reputation for terror echoing through folklore. Pull it wrong and it shrieks a lethal wail that fells the unwary. You imagine the harvest tying the root to a hapless dog covering your ears as the creature yanks it free. Its yelp mingling with the plant's phantom cry, neighbours whispering of curses and dark pacts. In medicine, it's a double-edged blade painkiller and aphrodisiac alkaloids like scopolamine weaving relaxation in small doses, your body loosening under its touch senses, heightening to every brush of wind or finger. But push too far, and welcome the night terror's visions of Ra clad in a crocodile's wig, your bed melting into chaos heart, racing toward arrest in a frenzy of hallucinated violence, a knife flashing in the dark blood freezing on temple stones. The Ebers Papyrus lists it nobly for insomnia, fertility, heart, strength, but you sense the intrigue priest slipping it into brews for control, a subtle betrayal to unmask rivals or ignite forbidden desires. In rituals, it amplifies the supernatural whispers of forest spirits, luring the starving to doom, or a cursed relic under the church stirring unrest. You feel its pull tactile and charged a woman's calloused hand, tracing your jaw heat sparking in the cool night, empowerment in her gaze as she wields it against patriarchal chains. Amid the gritty realism, resilience blooms, humans defying, through savagery and passion, a wry survival used wisely. It sparks poems. Recklessly you wake as a beetle scuttling from your own shadow. You slip into the dim-lit sanctum of a temple ritual, the air heavy with the earthy tang of mandrake root, crushed into beer, its forked form evoking cursed effigies that whisper of ancient terrors inherited from shadowed folklore. Though no dogs are tied here to yank the screaming plant from the soil, you feel the spiritual weight, the plant's power fitting seamlessly into Egypt's tapestry of the eerie priests, handling it with gloved reverence, their eyes darting as if expecting a spectral howl to echo through the halls. In the Ebers Papyrus, it's listed for noble ends, soothing insomnia, with a gentle haze boosting fertility and charged midnight rites, where bodies entwine under starlight, or strengthening a faltering heart, but you know the dose teeters on a knife's edge. One slip turning medicine to mayhem, cardiac rhythm fracturing like brittle bone under a betrayer's boot. Slipped into festival beer mandrake transforms the brew into a rooty elixir of altered realms, its aftertaste lingering like a forbidden kiss, igniting hallucinations that blur the veil between mortal and supernatural whispers of forest spirits, luring the desperate into thorny embraces, or a cursed relic stirring unrest beneath the altar. You sip and the world shifts. A woman's gaze meets yours across the fire, her touch electric, tracing your arm with calloused fingers that spark heat in the cool night, a sensual promise amid the chaos. But intrigue coils tighter, priest-dosing rivals to extract secrets in the haze, a subtle betrayal unfolding as visions turn violent knives, flashing in phantom brawls, blood splattering the sand like offerings gone wrong. Supernatural threads weave in eerie folklore of mandrake guardians, subtle hauntings, where the plant summons echoes of the dead, amplifying tension without overwhelming the human struggle. For priests and magicians, it's no everyday herb, but a tool for those gilded in gold leaf wielding it, to induce sleep that dreams of rebellion or pain reduced to whispers, yet recklessly you awaken days later, convinced you're a scarab scuttling from shadows that hide deeper plots. In this visceral dance, empowerment emerges, women harnessing its aphrodisiac fire to defy patriarchal chains, forging alliances in the night. Resilience pulses through humans, loving with savage intensity, surviving betrayals with wry defiance. Mandrake for the bold, for the foolish a beetle's frantic crawl. You kneel in the cluttered corner of an ancient healer's chamber, the scent of crushed cannabis wafting from salves and oils, a quiet rebel in the scrolls of the Ebers and Ramesseum papyri, where it's prescribed for inflammation's fiery grip. sore eyes weeping under the desert sun, or women's intimate woes blended into suppositories that ease with a subtle warming buzz. No rolled joints or baked treats here, you mix it with honey for sweetness that masks the herb's bite, applying topically to soothe aches that throb like fresh wounds, or inhaling its accidental fumes from temple incense, the smoke curling with Kaifai's haze, making divine whispers feel closer, more tactile. Officially medicinal, but you sense the unofficial slide in 120-degree heat with plumbing scarce, and crocodiles lurking, over-medicating becomes a sly escape your body, loosening as THC weaves through, senses sharpening to every touch, a healer's hand lingering on your skin. Heat building in the confined space, a charged intimacy born of vulnerability. Residue clings to mummies like a final secret traces of cannabis, mingling with opium and nicotine in burial sites, sparking questions of pharmacology or suspicious offerings. Perhaps a priest's intrigue, dosing the elite for visions that unmask betrayals, or a high priest conversing too boldly with statues, his words laced with divine or herbal wisdom. Supernatural edges creep in subtle folklore of herb spirits guarding the fields, luring the afflicted into euphoric trances that border on hauntings, amplifying mystery without eclipsing the human toll. Violence simmers beneath a ritual gone wrong. Hallucinations turning to frenzy fists, flying in a perceived attack, blood staining the papyrus as reality fractures. Yet intrigue thrives women accessing these suppositories for agency in patriarchal shadows, forging quiet rebellions through self-care that doubles as seduction. In this gritty blend, a resilience shines, humans defying pain with passion's fire, surviving with dark humour. No Wi-Fi, just herbal haze and a crocodile's grin over Medicate, and the gods might just listen. You descend into the dimly lit recesses of the temple pharmacy, where small, wrinkled poppy pods huddle like forbidden secrets imported from distant Cyprus or Crete. Their milky latex a whisper of relief amid the clamour of plagues and pyramid-strained backs. Not native to the Nile's banks, opium arrives through shadowed trade routes, adopted with the Egyptians' fervent zeal becoming the New Kingdom's sedative star, a medical marvel veiled in mild addiction's grip, tucked behind dried lizards and holy ointments like a divine afterthought. In this world of tooth drills and sandstorms where prayer alone falters against agony's roar, you crush the pods into extracts, the scent earthy and cloying, smoothing childbirth screams or calming coughs that rattle like death's rattle. Priests doubling as healers administer it with incantations, their fingers lingering on your skin, a tactile assurance amid the ritual's intimacy, heat building in the confined space as the opium's warmth spreads. Yet intrigue simmers, a priest's sly dosing to quiet a rival's whispers. Alliances forged in the haze, or a betrayal unfolding as the sedative masks a deeper plot. Perhaps a knife in the dark blood pooling silently while the victim drifts in bliss. Supernatural threads entwine folklore of poppy spirits, guarding the fields, luring the unwary into eternal slumbers haunted by underworld echoes, amplifying mystery without overshadowing the human fray. Violence lurks beneath a back injury, from hauling stones turning to frenzy and overdose ribs, cracking under imagined assaults. Empowerment emerges, women wielding it in childbirth rites, claiming agency against patriarchal pains, their defiance a quiet rebellion. In this gritty balm, resilience threads through humans, loving amid the chaos, surviving with dark wit. Shh! Let the poppy ease your spleen's divine rage. Or was it the god's wrath? Either way, sleep comes sweetly. You swallow the opium-laced pill in the temple's hush, its bitterness yielding to a velvet calm that dulls the world's sharp edges, administered in drinks or suppositories by priest-physicians, murmuring, "This will tame the fury in your meridians." Their touch charged fingers brushing skin with a heat that blurs medicine and intimacy. Ancient texts veil it in vagueness, extracts from the poppy like natural flavours, hiding perils, smoothing gastrointestinal storms, or adding rhythm to cosmic chants that once droned monotonously. For elites facing embalming, it's the final bliss drifting into the underworld, unaware of scarab scuttles across your nose, a controlled chaos part cure part comfort, turning assistants into space dancers in overdose haze. But the line thins between elevation and nap you sip, visions swirling Osiris's gaze. piercing or a lover's sigh in the dark, forbidden and fervent intrigue weaving through, as priestos for prophecies that unmask betrayals, a rival collapsing in what seems divine rapture, but hides a knife's subtle work, blood freezing in the cool stone. Supernatural whispers, poppy guardians summoning eerie dreams of cursed relics, amplifying tension in folklore's grip. Violence erupts in excess, a cough turning convulsive fists clenching in hallucinatory brawls. Empowerment blooms, marginalised voices harnessing its sedative fire for agency women leading rights that defy chains. Resilience echoes humans fighting brutally yet loving, deeply surviving with wry sarcasm. Opium for agony's hush. Poorly used, you're just a dancer in the god's chaotic waltz. You pour from an elegant amphora in the temple's glow, the wine's surface shimmering with infusions that elevate it beyond mere great mandrake's rooty whisper blue lotus petals, floating like drowned stars, myrrh and frankincense, adding a resinous depth that promises more than sophistication. This is Osiris's toast, a vehicle for the gods, but you taste the edge laced for mood's dark enhancement, hitting like a chariot's crupper in festivals where metaphysical disconnection reigns. At the feast of drunkenness you chug, not savour teetering between dimensions, dancing with a priest in leopard skin, his touch lingering with heated intent, a spark of intrigue amid the whirl. Perhaps a whispered plot against the overseer betrayal brewing in the cup's depths. Medical texts cloak them as remedies lotus-infused for headaches, frankincense. Red for sore joints aged in clay pots that hide the potency, but existential dread demands priestly oversight and a floor mat for the fall. You offer vats to statues, the divine descending or wobbling in approval, these brews calming nerves, or launching banquets into psychedelic cults, rooms spinning as spiritual communion passing out in lotus gardens, a holy embrace. Supernatural veils thin folklore of wine spirits summoning crocodile gods in eerie trances. Violence simmers a sip, too many sparking brawls, knives flashing over perceived slights, blood mingling with spilled vintage. Empowerment threads through women, wielding spiked elixirs in rites, defying chains with seductive agency. Resilience hums humans navigating enlightenment or sleep, surviving with wry grit. Wine's not beverage, it's voyage to God's crocodiles or a confused dawn. You stand in the temple's rhythmic pulse drums, thundering like a heartbeat in storm chanting, weaving through smoke-thick air, sleep deprivation gnawing at your edges, as wine with mysterious floaties loosens your grip on reality. Egypt's obsession with order yields to trance's open door, altered states a channel to the divine or theatrical inner chaos encouraged beyond accounting's tedium. Possession strikes not demonic but divine promotion. A dancer convulses mid-rite, her body arching in ecstasy or agony, applauded as Hathor arrives, her voice-shifting posture commanding cryptic announcements staring into fire's glow. You feel the pull, the combo of repetition and inhalation, drawing you in sudden prophecy, gasping forth, or an unplanned collapse amid the sanctified sweat. Priests trained to host gods like guests, changes in timbre and stance, heralding arrival a Wednesday ritual where outsiders see fainting, but insiders receive messages, advice scoldings, or cake demands revealing theology's appetites. Not always voluntary, afflicted, shaken by deities shouting amid incense's haze, debate lingering on divine word or Kaifi's asphyxiation. Intrigue coils possessions, masking plots, a priest trance unmasking betrayals, alliances forged in the ecstasy. Supernatural amplifies folklore of spirit possessions, summoning underworld echoes eerie without dominance. Violence erupts convulsions, turning savage a boot to ribs in frenzy blood on stone. Empowerment rises women as vessels claiming voice in patriarchal silence. Resilience threads humans bridging realms with stubborn passion, surviving with dark humour. Trance over sip wine, mop drool, god's tips, cryptic but the nap divine. You wander the necropolis under a moon that casts long shadows over tombs like silent sentinels. The air cool and laced with incense, the boundary between life and death a mere whisper like advice ignored. Don't swim after feasting or chisel drunk on hieroglyphs. Egyptians don't bid farewell. They extend invitations lugging baskets of bread, beer jugs sloshing, and pickled fish to the beautiful feast of the valley, a tailgate in death's domain, where families picnic outside, crypts chatting with walls, hoping ancestors savour the aromas through false doors carved portals for spirits to claim offerings, perhaps spiritually inhaling or just basking in the scent's ghostly caress. Music swells, flutes weaving melancholy tunes as incense curls like spectral fingers libations, poured with toast to the departed, the living growing tipsy enough for tears, confessions spilling like wine secrets of betrayals, or forbidden trysts, a hand brushing another's in the dark heat igniting amid the chill. You join sitting on sacred stones, the vibe mutually beneficial, feed the dead for blessings, bountiful crops, hippo-free dreams, while they grant protection in return. Overnight slumbers in tombs invite visions, loved ones appearing in sleep with unsolicited wisdom. Cease lending to your kin or amulet placements, a former accountant's ghost lingering with ledger grudges. Intrigue simmers, a whispered plot unearthed in dreams' alliances with the ethereal against living foes. Supernatural amplifies eerie folklore of tomb spirits, luring the unwary cursed relics, stirring unrest. Violence lurks, a drunken stumble into offerings, fists over disputed visions, blood on stone like ancient stains. Empowerment echoes women leading rites, voices rising in patriarchal shadows. Resilience threads afterlife as a dress change, humans defying separation with stubborn passion. If Uncle Horm crashes via stone osmosis who denies the spectral revel, you awaken sprawled in the temple courtyard, sunrise stabbing like Ra's smite. Your head pounding with the echo of blue lotus highs and beer-fueled chants, the vague blur of yelling at a statue lingering like a half-remembered betrayal. Texts stay mum on hangovers, hieroglyphs untouched when skulls feel divine wrath, but evidence hides in medical papyri, pains of the head cured with herbs and honey, or lying still feigning godly communion to dodge duties. Advanced woes demand ritual cleansing, a priest dousing you in cold Nile water, bucket crashing like a boot to ribs, stern moderation lectures, lost in the haze, your body purging sins from both ends in visceral retribution. Plausible deniability reigns. Shirtless temple dances or tomb alcove blackouts aren't overindulgence, but overcome by divine. A mystical veil over excess far more respectable than admitting the feast's savage toll, a scar from a brawl, blood frozen in mud, or lotus petals tangled in hair, like evidence of forbidden trysts. Emetics force evacuation concoctions tasting of regret, restoring balance, though it flees moments later. Priests fare better carried home on authorities' wings, while commoners stagger with sandal imprints on faces pondering if they dance with gods or costumed impostors. Intrigue weaves hangovers, masking plots a priest's remedy, laced with subtle poison for rivals. Supernatural hints folklore of hangover spirits, haunting the overzealous eerie without dominance. Violence recalls night's frenzy revisited in nausea fists clenching at phantoms. Empowerment stirs women, brewing remedies, claiming agency and recovery rights. Yet no one swears off. Enlightenment's addictive, especially with beer smoke and trance's chance to spill neighbours' secrets before statues humans surviving with rye grit. Spiritual cleanse. Sure but pity the scar shaped like Anubis. You prepare the tomb like a eternal haven, packing not just linens and eulogies, but snacks, drugs and stashes against boredom's void, the parting a mere relocation, where revelry descends underground. These aren't silent crypts, but soul-starter homes stocked with blue lotus petals scattering like forbidden whispers, wine jugs sealed with wax that hints at spiked secrets, incense cones smouldering eternally, and mystery jars eyed with suspicion archaeologists' reverence, masking intrigue of what pharaohs craved beyond gold. Tutankhamun's cache, cracked by Carter, reveals not mere treasures but a wellness kit oils slick with opium's promise, herbs for moods that linger in the duat, a modern influencer's burial, sans canopic jars, but echoing self-care's dark allure. Strategic, you think nourishing the BA with stimulation eternal bliss demands maintenance, priests ensuring comfort, items, food for sustenance, perfumes for sensuality's ghost substances from temple highs, pretending enlightenment in the afterlife's haze. Instructions etch walls, prepare lotus infusions, lest divine amnesia strike directions for enjoyment, like a manual for the undead. The opening of the mouth ritual revives senses to eat Speak-Sip's sacred brews with technique toasting, Osiris without sealed jaws. Supernatural weaves folklore of tomb spirits, guarding relics, eerie guardians, amplifying mystery. Violence recalls a ritual mishap, knife slipping and frenzy blood and offerings. Intrigue simmers, priest dosing burials for control beyond grave alliances with the dead against living foes. Empowerment rises women inscribing rites, voices defying chains. Pleasure entwines piety. Psychoactive blooms in tombs with amulets and headrests. Dream starter packs for the resilient humans blending faith and indulgence, surviving eternity with wry defiance. Pyramid's mummies eyeliner, yet rulers high enough to deem it grand. You navigate the temple's corridors where pharaohs don crowns of Horus, embodying cosmic order, yet priests hold keys to sacred stashes and incense budgets and schedules of chants beside burning Chi-Fi bushes till collapse. Religious elite aren't mere guides, but state pharmacists dispensing from calming ointments to psychedelic communions veiled as holy, their apothecary birthing scents that tingle compounds messing with nerves till beds melt or metaphors flow for days. Soft power surges healing rituals managing society's mystical tone. Harvest queries yielding to priest trances, falcons in swirling gold visions from pungent sniffs in sealed chambers, math of divine speech tilting rule from crowns to burners, temples as landowners, employers' drug hubs, blue lotus harvested in verse-whispered fields, a well-oiled machine on faith and herbs, mind-altering inspiration fueling the engine. Hierarchy mirrors elites bathe in lotus oils, sip opium-laced pomegranate from gold chalices, while commoners chew barley beer, sniff weak incense during obelisk shifts. Potent mandrake imported resins for rituals aligning with High Priest Wim's national security and psychoactive nightcaps for Pharaoh's godly dreams. Death preserves privileged tombs with vague labelled vials, ceremonial only. Poppy resin for gods or tuts options. Lower classes settle for diluted highs, forbidden grabs, branded witchcraft, a bad day for labourers. Science, spirituality, chemistry blend seamlessly relief and prophecy from one flower medicine mysticism to cymbal beats and unapproved smokes. Ancients revered altered states for insight, healing animal-headed gods drama, not escapism, but ritual theatre with gate-kept substances, elites' paywalled wellness, versus commoners' eye infections. Humans crave more feeling, seeing, knowing, especially sans chores. Egyptians akin to moderns with oils or podcasts, eyeliner-clad hallucinations serious. Ancestors navigated confusing worlds with tools, rituals, fragrant smoke, if involving wine flowers, Anubis barking trances, so be it resilient in passion, and savagery debunking romance. Forget night's blood hunger highs for the stubborn survivors. You immerse in Edo, Japan's underbelly, where tattoos bloom like defiant art on skin, scarred by society's scorn. Irezumi, not mere ink, but a roar against authority. Mythical rebels etched in flesh, their outrageous tales admired as badges of the outcast. Firefighters, gamblers, rogues wear these marks. Proudly dragons, coiling with ferocity coy, leaping upstream in perseverance's symbol, each needle stab a test of grit amid the pain's visceral burn ribs, cracking under the artist's relentless tap like dry twigs in a brawl's fury. Intrigue pulses a gambler's tattoo, hiding codes for underground bets. Alliances forged in bathhouses where designs whisper of plots against samurai overlords. Betrayals inked as warnings, a demon's grin masking a rival's downfall. Supernatural weaves folklore of tattoo spirits, animating in moonlight guardians, or curses luring the marked to doom. Sensuality darkens the session's intimacy. Harishi's hands on bare skin heat sparking in the candlelit room, a charged vulnerability. Violence erupts, a street clash over revealed ink. Knives flashing blood, freezing on cobbles like frozen rebellion. Empowerment rises marginalised voices, claiming agency through permanence. women hiding love vows under robes defying patriarchal norms, resilience threads humans forging identity in Pain's Forge, surviving with wry defiance. Outrageous figure, the bolder the tattoo, the fiercer the soul, no name given but one carved in agony. You navigate Edo's hidden veins, where tattooed men anchor the underground economy, lending coin in dimly lit dens, enforcing order in red light districts with a glance that promises violence, their Irizumi both badge and blade loyalty, inked in proto-Yakuza structures rising from society's fringes. These outcast firemen dousing blazes with bare-chested bravado gamblers staking lives on Dice's whim become essential shadows, their designs swirling with dragons' protective coils, or Tiger's fierce resolve, each session's pain a bond stronger than blood oaths. Intrigue thrives, a loan shark's tattoo concealing ledgers of debts, alliances bartered in sake-fueled whispers, betrayals erupting in knife flashes over disputed territories, blood splattering like ink on parchment. Supernatural hints, folklore of enchanted tattoos, summoning spirits for illicit gains, eerie guardians amplifying mystery in the night's haze. Sensuality intertwines bathhouse revelation, steam veiling skin where touches linger with charged intent heat, building amid the steam's embrace. Violence surges a brawl in the district's fists, cracking jaws like mallets on needles, the marked enduring as symbols of defiance. Empowerment emerges, women in the quarters, inking subtle rebellions, their agency veiled yet potent. Resilience pulses humans, thriving in exclusion's grip, surviving with dark wit. Outsiders, we ink our own rules, loyalty within, danger without, and the economy bends to our will. You slip into Edo's concealed corners where Horishi ply their craft in unmarked havens, rooms above tea houses thick with incense, and ink's sharp bite-back alleys of barbershops flickering in candlelight apartments where whispers replace signs, reputation spreading like smoke through trusted lips and bared skin. Apprenticeship demands years in this shadow world, wooden handles tipped with steel needle clusters dipped in sumi soot and glue's black essence. Each jab a rhythmic invasion to Bori's painstaking slowness, etching designs that pulse with life's transients, cherry blossoms, fading into waves, tigers scaling impossible peaks. Horishi transcend craftsmen, their seers weaving folklore into flesh, deciding a dragon's coil for protection, its scales hiding a signature in tails or lotus petals, pride for the initiated. Clients return across seasons, full suits unfolding from shoulder to thigh, halting at wrists and necks to evade authority's gaze, a hidden rebellion. Intrigue inks deep masters encoding secrets in motifs, alliances forged mid-session betrayals needled as warnings, a rival's downfall in a demon's lair. Supernatural stirs folklore of animated tattoos under moons, spirits guarding or cursing the marked. Sensuality charges bare skin under hands heating the intimacy, pain's edge, sharpening desire. Violence echoes endurance tests, turning brutal, a flinch earning scars beyond ink. Empowerment inks marginalised, claiming permanence, women veiling rebellions. Resilience endures art on the edge, surviving with wry grit. No signs, just whispers, Horishi's needle-carved souls revered in the unseen. You uncover Edo's veiled narratives where women's Irizumi whisper rebelliously beneath silk and propriety's layers, intimate marks undocumented in records yet etched in emotion's fire, smaller than men's bodysuits, discreet on inner arms, thighs, collarbones, love's declarations inked as vows deeper than weddings. I entrust you with my life, a phrase needled in pain's embrace. Mutual surrender for lovers in the Ukiyo's floating pleasures, courtesans and geisha reigning with seductive mystique. A teasing glimpse when robes slip, illusion of forbidden intimacy shared with many, each client believing the secret theirs alone. Heartbreak scars too, a name burned or slashed post-abandonment passion's testimony in twisted flesh, or overlaid with dragons swallowing letters waves, erasing memories in ink's tide. Beyond quarters, peasant women fishers or inked men's wives rebel quietly, inspired by solidarity risking judgment under robes as autonomy's silent claim. Society condemns especially on women, yet these tattoos carve hidden stories of love agency, pain, born official histories blind but flesh remembers. Intrigue veils codes in designs for covert messages, alliances, and pleasure districts. Supernatural hints, spirits of inked vows haunting betrayers. Sensuality blooms, rituals charge needles, tracing skin with heated intent. Violence in aftermath, scars from self-inflicted erasures, blood in rebellion's price. Empowerment shines, women defying norms, voices in permanence. Resilience threads, surviving judgment with wry passion, condemned marks. We ink our stories, love's rebellion, unwritten but eternal. You enter the Horoshi's sanctum, a candlelit lair redolent of incense, and Sumi's acrid soot glue bite where masters craft with steady hands and monk-like endurance. Tibori tapping needles rhythmically into flesh, a bamboo mallet's cadence, echoing pain's infinite patience. Tools, simple yet profound wooden grips, clustering steel points, dipped in black essence. Each puncture a deliberate invasion designs, birthed slow as epic's full suits, stretching shoulder to thigh, balanced for soul's harmony, halting at wrists and necks to evade prying eyes. Horoshi embody more storytellers, etching meaning, a cherry blossom's fade, symbolizing transience. Tiger's Climb, Bravery's peak client requests, bent to master's vision placement and narrative arc. Sessions span years, bonds forging in shared agony, signatures hidden in dragon tails or lotus folds, pride for the knowing. Intrigue inks codes woven for underground pacts, alliances, mid-stab betrayals as veiled motifs. Supernatural stirs, folklore of living tattoos, spirits awakening in moon's glow. Sensuality charges bare vulnerability under touch heat in intimacy's edge. Violence and endurance flinches, risking scars, brawls over artistry's honour. Empowerment rises marginalised, claiming through craft's agency. Resilience endures artists on society's fringe, revered in whispers. Not craftsmen alone, Horoshi carve destinies, one painful stroke at a time. You endure the Tebori's brutal symphony, Horoshi's hand-poked needles jabbing with mallet's tap, a slow torment, designed to forge not just art, but spirit outline, hours bleeding into years. No numbing mercy, only motionless grit amid the sting's raw chorus. Pain's the essence symbolic sieve, separating devoted from dilettantes. A will's crucible where flinches ruin lines, cries earn scorn movement courts. The masters rebuke endure and you're transformed. Each session a badge of honour whispered in bathhouses, symbols surviving as testaments. Firefighters see agony as courage's forge gamblers' luck's trial. Courtesans' emotional depths plumbed. Some punishment, others purification, Buddhist motifs echoing suffering's path to rebirth and enlightenment. Full Munawari suits leave chest panels blank, robes slips, hiding rebellion from society's gaze. Intrigue pierces sessions, unmasking plots, pain loosening tongues for alliances or betrayals. Supernatural amplifies inked spirits, awakening in torment's fever eerie guardians. Sensuality and vulnerability, body's exposure heat mingling with sting's fire. Violence inherent endurance turning savage, a session's collapse symbolizing defiance as cost. Empowerment through trial, marginalized wielding pain as agency. Resilience pulses humans, inked in adversity surviving with wry strength. Pain's not flaw, its proof. Earn your ink or fade unnamed. You behold Edo tattoos as living mythologies, each inch a personal folklore mapped on flesh designs, chosen with layered intent, koi swimming upstream not decor but strength's emblem determination against current's legend, transforming it to dragon at waterfall's crest. Metaphor for climbing from lows proving unseen worth. Dragons coil as protectors, wise guardians tied to nature's fury, shielding backs like unseen armour amid society's storms. Peonies bloom, bravery with elegance, tigers ferocity's resolve waves. Life's unpredictability. Demons, warnings, cautionary ghosts, inked as reminders of physical and spiritual perils. Full scenes from Sino-Japanese law battles, betrayals, divine interventions, draw from Shui Hujuan's 108 outlaws resonating with rebels' misfits, living by codes beyond samurai ideals. Buddhist deities wrathful Fudo Myoho, sword and rope-binding demons, cutting ignorance a spiritual bodyguard etched for necessary violence. Placement-size direction matter, upward tiger ambition, downward warning. Order of inking journey's map. In wordless society, tattoos speak honest intrigue in motifs hiding plots, alliances through shared symbols. Supernatural inks animating spirits awakening. Sensuality designs tracing curves, charged permanence. Violence brawls over meaning's blood as inks echo. Empowerment marginalized, voicing through symbols. Resilience humans, expressing in silence symbols, sacred private tattoos, the truest tongue in betrayal's hush. You witness Edo's Irezumi clash with shifting tides, once secret honor among laborers now colliding with ruling paranoia. Bakuto gambler's visibility, tying ink to crime deviants, dishonor government tightening grips, outlawing tattoos in 1800s enforcement, varying but pushing parlors deeper underground. To officials, dragons or koi signal criminality, ignoring courage or perseverance's symbols. Outcasts inked for identity reclamation, but syndicates marking membership twists, perception to fear. Horishi adapts secret work clients, coded bookings techniques, hiding designs in layers to baffle inspectors. Stigma social, two-tattooed barred from baths, temples, marriages marks recast vulgar evil. Intrigue deepens, hidden sessions, birthing plots, alliances in Pain's Forge, supernatural cursed ink summoning stigma's ghosts, sensuality veiled revelations in private heat amid secrecy, violence crackdown, sparking brawls, blood on needles, empowerment marginalized, persisting as symbols of defiance, resilience tattoos, enduring bans, crackdowns, new designs rise, coiled dragons wait unyielding. You step into Meiji Japan's dawn, 1868's restoration, thrusting the nation toward westernized order. Irezumi declared a savage stain on civilization's facade, banned for citizens, yet paraded as exotic for British and American sailors flocking ports Horishi, inking foreigners, while natives hide designs under modern garb irony, preserving the art through the approval-craved outsiders. Government pushes tattoos, underground studios vanishing into deeper secrecy, master-apprentice lines, whispering survival in family circles or artistic shadows techniques and symbols guarded like forbidden lovers. Diplomats' horror at working-class bodysuits fuels the purge, Japan masking embarrassing permanence to court the West, yet tourists carry home oriental fragments, a paradoxical salvation. Intrigue deepens, officials turning blind eyes for bribes, alliances between Horishi and sailors smuggling tools or inks. Supernatural stirs folklore of banished tattoos haunting the modernized spirits rebelling in dreams. Sensuality and secrecy, hurried sessions, skin bared in hidden rooms, heat from proximity's charge. Violence erupts, raids on parlors, needles, clashing with swords, blood on fresh ink as defiance's price. Empowerment through adaptation, marginalized, reclaiming heritage and whispers. Resilience endures tradition on the brink, banned at home, exotic abroad, Irezumi waits unbowed in the West's gaze. You delve into 20th century shadows, Irezumi entwining with Yakuza's rise. Full bodysuits hidden under business suits, symbols of loyalty's blade and fear's grip. Folkloric grace of Edo firemen yielding to criminal undercurrents, koi and dragons now, emblems of underworld pacts. Tradition persists in secrecy, Horishi's Tabori alive in clandestine lines. Yet public turns away stigma, branding ink as vulgar peril. Yakuza adopt suits as membership marks Pain's endurance, binding oaths stronger than blood. But grace dims in organised crime's haze. Legacy lingers, baths, gyms, beaches, barring the marked criminal ties, enduring even on harmless skin. Shifbrew's young artists reclaim as heritage museums, preserving designs, historians lauding craft. Intrigue coils Yakuza codes in motifs, alliances sealed in sessions, betrayals inked as warnings, supernatural haunted tattoos awakening in gang. You wander the bustling streets of late 1400s Florence, the air thick with incense's heady swirl, sweat's salty tang and crushed roses cloying perfume, a city alive with arts fever. Intellect's spark and intrigue's whisper, but also a madness that clutches at beauty like a lover's desperate grasp. Not just any allure, but Renaissance perfection, skin like porcelain statues, ethereal and untouched even if it demands your life's blood. You feel the obsession pulse through this crowd, women veiled in silk yet bared in their pursuit. Their gazes sharp with envy or desire, Class divides etched in every pale-cheek tan skin, screams peasant toil under the sun, while ghostly pallor flaunts nobility's idle luxury, a flex that could kill. Enter Sarus, that luxurious white face paints silky as a forbidden caress born from lead's deadly embrace. You watch a noble woman apply it in a mirror's glow, her fingers tracing cheeks, forehead décolletage with deliberate sensuality, the shimmer promising transcendence. But beneath intrigue brews whispers of rivals, poisoning batches, a dash of arsenic turning beauty to betrayal, skin blistering in violent agony as alliances shatter. Supernatural folklore creeps in cursed mirrors, reflecting souls decayed by vanity spirits of the vein-haunting powder rooms. Violence lurks, a duel over a blemish's insult, blades flashing blood, staining lace like crimson art. Empowerment stirs women wielding Sarusas, armour against patriarchal gazes, their pale masks hiding a rebellious fire. Resilience threads through humans, chasing ideals with savage passion, surviving with wry defiance. Pale as death, darling, that's the point beauty bites back. You lean closer to the vanity, the Sarus jar open like a Pandora's box, its contents layered thick as Venetian stucco. On your skin, a mask that seals in the poison while promising radiance. Not a light dusting, but a commitment women sleeping in it, refusing waters cleanse, letting the toxic veil soak deep their reflections, glowing ghostly until sores erupt like betrayals from within, red and weeping. You trace a finger over the emerging wound, the pain a sharp spark, yet you apply more lead to conceal a Renaissance band-aid that festers rather than heals, skin corroding in slow violence as if beauty's price is your flesh's rebellion. Intrigue deepens courtiers' whispering of sabotage plots, a rival's hand stirring in extra venom alliances, fracturing as faces blister in courtly balls, a glance turning to glare daggers drawn in shadowed alcoves. Supernatural whispers, folklore of lead spirits, possessing the vain mirrors, cracking to reveal decayed souls haunting the powdered. Violent surges a woman's scream as sores split in a fit blood, mingling with white paste like macabre art or a duel over insulted pallor blades slicing silken skin. Sensuality twists the application's intimate ritual fingers, gliding with charged intent heat, building in solitude or shared with a lover's gaze. Empowerment emerges, women defying societal chains, their masks tools of agency in patriarchal courts. Resilience hums humans, enduring for elegance's illusion, surviving with dark wit. Sores just another layer, beauty demands blood, but we wear it like crowns. You delve deeper into the vanity's arsenal, the Sarus's lead, a mere prelude to Mercury's insidious gleam applied to fade blemishes and sunspots like erasing a rival's whisper from courtly intrigue. This chemical warfare masquerades as elegance, Mercury's cool touch on skin promising clarity, yet corroding from within, nerves fraying like alliances in a poisoned chalice. Arsenic tonics follow sipped or bathed in vinegar's acrid bite, a full regimen that scorches as it refines sores blooming like betrayals. Each application of visceral toll, skin blistering in silent agony, blood vessels rupturing in hidden violence. Intrigue poisons the air, a lady's maid lacing the tonic with extra venom, a plot unfolding as faces pale unnaturally in the ballroom, glances turning predatory daggers drawn in alcoves where beauty's cost is measured in lives. Supernatural folklore haunts spirits of the toxic rising from mirrors, cursed apparitions with peeling flesh, luring the vain to deeper doom. Sensuality twists grimly the ritual's intimate sting fingers gliding over flesh, with charged pain, heat mingling with the burn. Empowerment flickers women harnessing these toxins as weapons, their ethereal masks veiling rebellious fire against patriarchal judgments. Resilience endures humans chasing perfection, with savage determination surviving with dark humour. Mercury's kiss. It fades spots and senses, but who needs sight when you're a ghostly queen? You gaze upon the noble women, their skin untouched by sun or hardship pallor, a badge of classism etched in every vein, paler the better even as it renders them anemic, delirious or dead, a flex of leisure's lethal luxury. Lead and mercury weave a web of societal pressures, bodies, wasting under the ideal's weight. Breaths shallow with arsenic's grip, yet they persist, masks cracking to reveal the toll eyes hollow with fever limbs trembling in hidden agony. A slow violence self-inflicted for Status's savage game. Intrigue thrives, courts rife with envy. A rival sabotage turning beauty to ruin, alliances shattering as delirium exposes secrets. A whispered betrayal in the haze, daggers flashing in velvet shadows. Supernatural edges folklore of beauty, demons possessing the obsessed mirrors reflecting souls decayed.